Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
So again, good morning, everybody. Woo! This is my first time with people in the room in 9 months. Juan was on the docket for last Sunday, and so we let him enjoy that experience, but wow, my heart is so full. I know I've said this before, but I just want to say it again. The last couple years, we've really come to realize, if we thought that Unity on the Bay was a building, we realized leaving the building that it was more than a building. And even the departure of our Sunday gatherings, I still realize we're more than a Sunday gathering. What we are is a group of people that have come together, I believe this with all my heart, by divine appointment, to share in a revelation. It's not my revelation, it's not yours, it's divine revelation. It belongs to all of us collectively. And there's something has strengthened my faith through all of that, realizing, as we often tell you from this platform, you're so much more than you realize. Unity on the Bay, the collection of all of us, is so much more than we realize. It's beautiful. So let's go back to 1966. Lord, that's a long time ago. 1966, when Angela Lansbury, does anybody know who Angela Lansbury is? Okay, that's promising. May not be as chronologically mature as I have believed myself to be. So Angela Lansbury graces the Broadway stage with the 1966 debut of a Jerry Herman musical called... Thank you. I knew that I could count on Dale to give you the... MAME. Does anybody... You've heard of MAME, the show MAME? Yeah, Auntie Mame. So Auntie Mame is a great story. Dale and I were talking between services. It's kind of profound, actually, some of the lessons and the insights that it offers. There is a moment, in the storyline where Mame loses everything she owns in the stock market crash of 1929. And she's alone in her house with her nephew, Patrick, and a couple of the people the maids, the house servants. And, of course, she's lost everything that she had, or so she thinks. And there's a sense of despair and hopelessness, and what are we going to do now? And just like in the spirit of this amazing character, Mame, she decides that what we need is a little Christmas. Now, it's way too early in the season for this, but she wants it anyway. So she sings a song, the lyric in part of which is, "For we need a little music, we need a little laughter, we need a little singing, ringing through the rafter, and we need a little snappy, happily ever after. We need a little Christmas now." I could not get that song out of my head all summer long because I was so ready for Christmas. I can tell you I have never, ever, never, ever in my life been so ready for Christmas as I was this year. It took everything I had to contain myself to not rush into my storage closet and pull those ornaments and those decorations and my artificial tree and just put it up because I wanted what I thought Christmas would bring to me. And I made it as far as the first part of November. It was shortly, like maybe the day after Halloween, where I was in there. I know that's sacrilegious for some people to be putting up Christmas decorations on November 1st. I couldn't help it. I needed a little Christmas, and I needed it now. So the tree was up, the carols were playing, and even a month prior to that, I had gone online to buy my annual ticket to take me home to Kansas City, Missouri, where, as most of you know, my family lives, where I've spent every Christmas with my former wife and dear friend, with my daughter, with my son, and for the last 10 years with my beautiful granddaughter, Ashlyn. And all of a sudden, as the time began to progress, I realized it's possible that this could be the first Christmas I'm not going home in 20 years of living in Florida. And every time I think of it, I get really sad. I get really disappointed. I get sometimes even a little angry because I don't think it's fair. Now, I do understand that this predicament that I'm sharing with you is mild. compared to what many people have traversed through during the past year. I get that. But each of us experiences what we experience in our own way and in the way that we need to. And for me, I remember 20 years ago when I left my family and moved to South Florida, I said to them, and I meant it, I said, kids, anytime we want to be together, but anytime we want to be together, we will be. I will never allow distance, geographical location to stand between us. Anytime you want to be with me, you're with me. Anytime I want to be with you, I'm with you. It was a commitment, and I've been very true to that commitment for 20 years. I mean, sometimes it's just the phone rings, and it's like, hey, I want to come down. You're here. I will move heaven and earth to make that happen because I love my kids very much. So I realized it's going to be different this year. I realized more profoundly than ever that Christmas for every year is a mixed bag, especially this year, because there are some of us that are not going to have money to give gifts. There's some of us that are not going to be able to gather with family and loved ones that are so meaningful to us. No concerts, no Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, no celebrations. We may be lonely. We may feel isolated if we haven't already this year. I do realize it's a mixed bag, and yet I also believe at the same time 2020 has been a year that has really invited us, my dear beloved friends, to redefine people and situations in life. We're talking all the time, I'm talking all the time incessantly about spiritual awakening, spiritual awakening. It's in our mission statement. We're dedicated to spiritual awakening, evolution, and action. Sometimes I think we think that spiritual awakening is like, I'm just going to go to sleep one night, I'm going to wake up in the morning and just go, oh, wow, what do you know? I'm spiritually awakened. This is really nice. This is really cool. I feel, and then until, you go out into the day just a few hours or whatever and start encountering people and circumstances. Well, maybe I'm not quite as spiritually awake and aware as I thought I was. But I held it for a good 30 minutes. So we think somehow it's this big aha experience. I really do believe that spiritual awakening is just the experience of perceiving things differently. I don't think anything necessarily with spiritual awakening changes out here at all, because I don't think it has to. I think what changes is me. And what changes in me, of me, is my perception. It's my perspective. That's, to me, spiritual awakening. It's like looking at life through a different lens and realizing that I am responsible for the lens through which I am perceiving all experience, all individuals, everything. I had this relatively recent revelation. You might not like it. I'm not sure I completely liked it, but I think I'm liking it more and more. The revelation was this. After 2020, absolutely nothing will ever be the same. The past is done. It ain't going to be that way anymore. This shift has impacted me on levels that I can't even express or explain right now, and I don't even know right now. It'll take months. It may take years before I realize how this has really impacted me. Part of it is just because I'm throwing up whatever I need, my coping mechanisms to go through whether it's the racial situation, the political situation, whether it's the health and well-being situation. It's never going to be the same. So the question becomes, can I realize it's over? Life as we have known it is done. Can I grieve that? Can I give myself permission? That's why every time I think of not going home, I get all choked up. I'm not going to get in the way of that. That's really important for me to be able to recognize and grieve and feel what I'm feeling and be who I am. And at the same time that I'm grieving, the loss, moving forward. And if you know me very well, one of my mottos is move forward in faith. Move forward in faith. I'm here to tell you this morning so you're in the right place at the right time. I know what the new normal is. In case you've been wondering what the new normal is. The new normal is that nothing is normal. The new normal is that nothing is, if you ever thought it was normal, if it looked normal, if it seemed normal, it wasn't. There is no normal, okay? So that's one thing that will never be the same. I'll never be able to perceive anything as being normal again. Normal is a figment of my imagination. It doesn't exist. If it ever did, it certainly doesn't now. The new normal, I believe, is the capacity to do what Jesus instructed us to do, which was to live as a little child. And the recipe or the formula for that is, first of all, to begin to become more curious. Not to walk around thinking that I've got it all figured out, that I know what's going on here, because guess what? I don't. I never did, I don't now, and I never will. And that's okay. In fact, I'm designed to walk through life curiously. I wonder what this means. COVID, I wonder what this means. Not going home for Christmas. Now, I can get lost in the grief and that the situation is not going to work out the way I want it to work out or the way it's worked out for the last 20 years, but I'm just curious what might be here that I've never considered before. Because when you let go of your own prescription of how you think everything has to be, then things are as they are. And as they are is actually better than you wanted them to be, if you're not too attached to what you wanted them to be. So curiosity, anticipation. How many of you believe that it's a friendly universe? How many believe that God is a God of love? If that is true, then we should be able to anticipate everything that's taking place on the field of our experience, whether we can recognize what it's going to be or not. We can anticipate it because we know God is good. You know, oftentimes we get into quagmire because we think, well, this is what I want and this is what's happening. And that's not good because it's not what I want. Really? Maybe if I let go of what I think it ought to be, it can be what it is. And maybe what it is better than what I think it ought to be. Just opening up. Looking at things with eyes of wonder, like you've never seen them before. You know, when you look at your life through eyes of wonder, you'll begin to see things that you never were able to see before. Why? Because you can only see what you want to see, whether you realize that or not. We're always seeing what we want to see. And we're not seeing what we don't want to see. When we move into this state of wonder, we begin to open up. We can see things that we would have sworn were not there before. But they didn't show up out of nowhere. It's just you changed your perception, you changed your perspective. Discovery. Life becomes a process of constant and continual discovery. We think we like to know exactly how everything is going to be, and we walk around acting like we know how it's all going to be. But we don't. This life is a spontaneous process of discovery after discovery after discovery. And the only way you miss out on that is if you're holding on to yesterday's discovery in a way that keeps you from realizing the new discovery that's available to you in this moment. And when you do recognize the discovery that's available to you in this very moment, you're only going to do one thing. You're going to want to celebrate. All of this is Christmas, my friends. Curiosity, anticipation, wonder, discovery, celebration. That's Christmas. Christmas is much more than we think it is. So I decided then, feeling just a little more upbeat, that I was going to redefine what it means to go home for Christmas. Change my perspective. Change my perception. And the very next morning when I woke up, I was scrolling through my YouTube videos looking for something I could meditate to, and I found a meditation by John and my friend Mooji. How many of you are familiar with the work of Mooji? M-O-O-J-I. If you're not, you can go on YouTube and find any number of inspiring messages and lots of powerful meditations. This meditation in particular, though, because I was looking for something for Christmas, kind of anticipating what I wanted to share with you today. And here it comes. He's talking about unwrapping your Christmas present, and he's not talking about a gift per se. Not something you can buy at Macy's or Amazon.com. He's talking about the Christmas present, the present moment of Christmas. How can you open your Christmas present? And he says the way to do this is, first of all, and this was difficult for Faye to hear at the first service, so I'll speak it a little more softly, leave your shoes at the door. You have to leave your shoes at the door. And of course, we understand what this means is it's just symbolic of adopting a space of humility, realizing that you're part of something much greater than you've ever believed yourself to be. Okay? So you're leaving your shoes. Okay, I'm entering into this Christmas present with a state of humility, and then there's only 3 things you have to leave behind, and they're just as simple as your past and your future and your mind. Leave your mind at the door. What's that mean? It means get out of the busyness, the preoccupation, the conceptual dynamic of everything, your analysis paralysis, and sink down into the center of your heart. Let go of the past. You think you need the past so that you can compare the past to the present, and out of such, determine the future. That is a crazy formula, my friends, because all that does is continue to produce the past and the present and then project it off into the future. If you want to really change yourself and change your Christmas experience, let go of the past. So this Christmas is clearly not going to be like last Christmas. Amen? It's not going to be like the Christmas before that, or the Christmas 5 years ago, or the Christmas 20 years ago. And to that I say, thank God I don't need last year's Christmas. I want the Christmas present. This present moment, whatever it may reveal to me. I get to go home, yippee. I don't get to go home, yippee. Because I'm going to be fraught with discovery and opening up new understandings in my life regardless. So going home for Christmas can mean a return to the unconditional Christ nature that is the truth of my ultimate reality. Unconditional. And I've changed my favorite lyric now from all I want for Christmas is my two front teeth to all I want for Christmas is an unconditional experience. I want to have a Christmas that doesn't count on things going the way I need them to go. I want a Christmas that is not going to be like any other Christmas I've ever had. I want it to be free of conditions. I want a little Christmas now, and now, and now, and now. I want to redefine Christmas in a new, different, and I believe much more exciting way. I'm going to use the same formula. The new normal is living in curiosity. What does this mean? I don't know. Let's find out. Anticipation. This is a friendly universe. I believe in an all unconditionally loving God. I'm going to anticipate whatever it is, whether it's according to my prescription or not. So many things, you see, friends, are outside the field of your prescription that are wonderful. So who needs the prescription? Who needs to carry yesterday into the present moment and then project the future? It's not how we're designed to live. It's not our natural way of being. Our natural way of being is just to express, to allow, to trust, and to have the confidence that everything we need is coming to us in exactly the right way at precisely the right time, regardless of any appearance to the contrary. So Christmas is not going to be like any other Christmas before. Praise God. What else might it be? What else could it be if it's not what I thought it was? Well, here's some suggestions. Focus not on what you cannot do this Christmas, but on what you can do. There's so many things you can do. And if you're down and out about what you can't do, you might miss out on what you could do, the new and different you. Set an intention right now. How can I make this the best Christmas ever unconditionally, whether things go the way I want them to or not, whether I'm in the arms of my beloved loved ones at home, my family, or not? How can I make this the best Christmas ever? Who could I reach out to that I haven't reached out to yet? How can I soothe and support other people through this wild ride that we've been on in 2020? How can I soothe and support myself as well? And how can I make a difference? Being inspired initially by Muji, I wanted to continue along the lines of the Muji way of being by sharing with you a Christmas message that I think he wrote back in about 2018. 2018 seems like 100 years ago. Doesn't it? Do you remember 2018? I can barely remember 2019. So here's Muji's Christmas wish for you. Blessed is the Spirit of Christ, so powerful that 2,000 years after the body, this light shines today throughout the world. May all who hold inside their heart the true desire for freedom come swiftly to the recognition of the pure self and be timelessly happy. Wherever you are, may grace wash away the trivia that distract you. May all who you meet on the path of life be transformed through this encounter. May they be so touched by your light, peace, and joy that they are compelled to search within themselves to find the light that they see in you. Let this freedom be contagious. Let this love be contagious. Let this truth be contagious. This is your true responsibility, to live out of the fullness of your being. Merry Christmas. Perhaps, just perhaps, my dear Unity on the Bay family, this year has been about more than a contagious pandemic that has plagued our bodies. Perhaps it could be the segue, the launching pad into understanding a contagious state of peace on earth and goodwill toward all that fuels our souls. Of this much, at this point in my life, I am relatively certain. You and I, dear friends, are free to define the experiences of our lives as we choose. We can see them for goodness, we can see them for glory, we can see them for pain, we can see them for suffering, we can see them for loss and sacrifice, or we can see them for ultimate gain around every corner of our eternal journey in this experience. I bow to each one of you for the journey that you have taken throughout the course of your lifetime, to bring yourself into an environment where you are beginning to realize you are the definer of your world. You are the creator of your experience. That's how powerful you are. And we all have the conscious choice to determine how our lives will unfold. And you and I have the conscious choice, regardless of external circumstances, to define and experience Christmas any way we choose. God bless you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.